I worked for many years in the motion analysis laboratory at Children's Hospital and Health Center in San Diego. And we studied the evolution of mature walking, and a group of us even wrote a book about it that's in Clinics in Developmental Medicine, and had equipment that now seems quite primitive, but then was quite advanced, where we quantified how children walked, we quantified neurologic deficits in prematurely born children, we studied the evolution of walking as a quantifier of neurologic health in various dimensions. And basically, are there aspects of how a child walks where you can tell very accurately how old a child is with things that aren't related to the child's size or anything like that? And we've got all these, walking is approximately periodic, we've got Fourier coefficients, we've got forces in various dimensions, we've got this and that and the other thing. If I give you a bunch of numbers, could you tell me how old a kid was if I didn't show you the kid or tell you anything about it? And it turns out, yes, you can do a remarkably accurate job. And in the course of that study, there were a couple of children who turned out to be vastly outlying observations. And so we saw how CART was actually good in detecting outliers, and that was something that made its way into the book. The next applied thing that sort of was very key to my development happened in 1979 and 80. I don't remember. It was towards the end of 79 or early 1980. In those days, you used to submit a job, and if you were lucky, you got it back in the morning. We had some very ancient PDP computers in the Health Sciences Computing Facility at Harvard. And like everyone else on Longwood Avenue, I was just up there visiting for the year, sitting on the floor, literally waiting for computer output. And there was a guy there, he looked a little bit like Jerry or Chuck, actually, and he was sitting on the floor, and I said, well, why are you here? And he said, same reason you're here. I'm waiting for my printout. And I said, well, so what? What are you trying to do? And he said, well, people come to the emergency room and they have a chief complaint of acute chest pain. And there's a question if they had a heart attack. And at those times, creatine kinase levels took a long time to come back. And the question is, could a computer do very well competing against emergency room physicians in diagnosing heart attacks on the fly? His name was Lee Goldman, and he's now, as I know, the chair of the Department of Medicine at the University of California, San Francisco. And I remember trying to tell how old children were, and I thought, man, I know how to do that. And I didn't, but, what the heck. So I said, you come talk to me, and we'll figure out something. Finally, I want to tell a story. Lee, about whom I've spoken, was on an airplane at one time, and I'm told that Chuck sat down near him, perhaps next to him, and looked at what he was working on and saw that it was something to do with trees. And they got to talking to one another, and one of them said, well, what is that? And he said, oh, that's a CART tree or something like that. And the other one said, gee, I know all about that stuff. And one thing led to another.